Spencer is here for InsideTrackNews.com. I'm post-race at the Sauble Speedway Dash for Cash with our 4th place finisher tonight, reintroducing himself back to the short track scene, coming back from a long absence, way too long for a driver his caliber. It is Tim Ellis at Sauble Speedway. And Tim, from the back to the front, you put on a show, my friend, in this number 2 machine. 4th place run tonight, but I mean, I think it could be argued you had the fastest car on the property here this evening.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think when I was following Parker and McTeer, they were like car length shorter than me going into the corners, and I was just trying to keep the tires in the car and wait for those guys to use up their cars and then go by. But it was just I got into McTeer and sent myself around and had to go to the back. But the good thing is the most important for me is I wanted to make sure everybody knew I was here and I was back, and I think we did that.
Now, how long have you been on the shelf? Because I know from the time you competed in regular competition, it's been quite a while. You made some sporadic appearances at the Beat the Heat 150 event here a couple of years ago, but how long has it been since you've been a regular competitor in the late model division?
Oh boy, I think it would be, it's got to be 6 or 7 years since
Wow.
I ran weekly. And then I ran a couple of Dash for Cashes and Beat the Heat a couple of years ago, and that's it.
So I mean, was there any rust at all sort of strapping back in, or did it all sort of come back to you, the sights and the smells and the feeling of it all?
It all came back pretty quickly. And I mean, this track I've raced, I've been here for 31 or 2 years, so this is the place that I know the best. So it didn't take very long to get the cobwebs out. And in fact, I practiced a lot here over the last couple of weeks, and it didn't do as much nearly as it did racing with the other cars tonight, and made me confident that I'm going to get the job done. The car's fast, I know that.
I guess there's no truer test of what you've got equipment-wise than when you have to restart at the back of a 16 or 17 car field and come up to 4th. You certainly were asking a lot of the car towards the leg going there, and it performed big time.
Yeah, I think you're right. And my tires were a little bit older than some of the guys that were at the front, because I passed a bunch of cars in the heat races, and then to come from the back with that, I used the tires up. But the car was lots of car there still, and look forward to coming back here weekly now and having some fun with these guys.
Now that word's going to get out, because you know it will, but as to how good this car performed, you're probably going to get a lot of messages on Facebook asking you what exactly the car is and where it came from. So let's go through a few details here. Where did this chassis come from? I mean, is this like a one-of-a-kind piece, or what's the details of this car?
Sure, so it is a one-of-a-kind piece. Years ago, back in the mid-90s, Brian McDonald used to build all my cars, to do all my work, and come to the track with me, and we were virtually unstoppable when Brian was in the pits with me. And then he left and went to work down south for 14 or 15 years, and I had another car from Ken Stewart, who Lincoln Manufacturing built me a car, and then I retired. And then Brian decided to move back here a year and a half ago, and he called me in September and he said, I'm going to build one more new car from scratch. And I said, oh great, for who? And he said, for you. So that marked the start of the return for me for racing. So it's a Brian McDonald chassis. He brought the front clip back from Hemke down south in Mooresville, but the rest of it is hand fabricated by Brian. The engine is built by Gary Leach in Windsor. He builds an awesome motor. He's built my motors for about 8 or 10 years, and he put an awesome piece together for me. So the car and the motor, I mean, I got the best equipment I've ever had in my career, so you can only imagine how excited I am to get to the next race.
Absolutely. Now, let's get your outlook on the late model division, because you've been gone a little while, so I'm sure you're probably racing with guys that you don't know a whole lot about. So give me your outlook on the state of this limited late model division here at Sauble.
Yeah, I think the class is great. So in fact, I'm racing against the kids, and Josh Stoddy's a great example of that. Dwayne Stoddy, Josh's dad, and I raced against each other years and years ago. So I'm racing against some of the kids of the guys I race against. But it's a good class of cars. McTeer and Parker, I know, have turned this place upside down for the last 2 years, and I hope to try to change that. And I think it's a really good, clean class here. In fact, I think the limited late models, we did a lot of research before we decided what kind of car we were going to build. And I think the pro lates, there's only a couple of tracks you can run them. I think the limited late model class is the class in Ontario right now. It's got all the best drivers in it, and we'll plan to take this car to Sunset next year and run here at the beach with it. So I think it's a great class.
So now in the here and now, in the foreseeable future, it's going to be finishing out the year weekly every Saturday at Sauble?
Yeah, every Saturday at Sauble for the rest of the year for us, and then we're going to park the car because we won't have enough laps on it to have to rebuild the whole car over the winter, and just do a couple things that we were thinking about doing before we brought the car out, and then come out loaded for bear with all my sponsors and everything next year.
That is awesome. Well, I know none of this is possible without the right support system in place, and I know you've got all the right people in all the right places. Thank the folks that really make this number 2 car go around.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I have to thank Doug Millen and the Millen family. They've owned my car for over 20 years. And, you know, the second Brian McDonald called me and said, they're going to build me a new car, I called Doug and I said, what do you think? And he said, I'm in. So I could not do this absolutely without the Millen family and Doug Millen. And then the next one is Brian McDonald. I wouldn't have gone racing again if it were any other kind of car. The only reason I came back racing it was so that I could be in a Brian McDonald car with Brian McDonald at the racetrack. And then my family, you know, I have young children and a wife that are very supportive and encouraged to get back out here and go at it again.
That's awesome. I mean, if anyone's watching this right now on InsideTrackNews.com, come out to Sauble Speedway and watch this number 2 machine, because Tim put on a show here tonight, and from what I gather, you're ready to do it every Saturday night now. See if you can't throw a cog in the wheel of the McTier and Parker machine here at Sauble. I think you got the car to do it, my friend. Welcome back to short track racing. I can't see what you got planned. I can't wait to see what you got planned next.
Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Well, there you go, folks. 4th place finish here tonight. Tim Ellis here at Sauble Speedway. Make sure you come out and see him in person.